Mainline freezer baits. We get a lot of questions at Mainline about the freezer baits, how best to use them, how best to store them, what makes them so good, because they are the best of the best. They're a food source bait. They're made of high quality ingredients, fresh ingredients, which is like any other food. You have to keep it fresh, you have to keep it frozen. When you first buy them from the shops, take them home straight in the freezer. Very important, don't leave them in the back of a hot car because they'll start to react and to break down. The trigger for these baits is water. You get any moisture on them and that starts to break them down, which is exactly what you want. As soon as they go in the lake, you want them to break down and give off, I don't mean collapse, I mean just start to act and give off signals which will bring the fish in. So you take the baits home, put them in the freezer. When you get them out the freezer, ready for use, worst thing you can do really is to just leave them in the sealed bag. What you'll find is if you open the bag, there'll be little particles of ice and stuff, frost inside. Personally, what I like to do is to dry my baits for a couple of days before I go. It's not essential, but it's just the way I deal with my bait. Take the bait out of the bag, put it into a net. A landing net does well. Tap it on the ground a few times and you'll see all the frost and all the ice will fall off. I then lay my baits out to dry. Usually what I like to do is lay them single layer rather than in a bulk where you've still got moisture trapped in between. I'll lay them out single layer on a flat surface. Anything, out on the patio, on a towel. I use a trampoline. I lay all my bait out on the trampoline. Be careful though, birds. I lay a little net over the top. It's a mosquito net, untreated mosquito net that I got from a camping shop, just to keep the birds off of them. And I leave my baits out there all day. Sometimes I do them for 2 days, but I'm careful to wrap them up and put them in away from any moisture or dew at night. And then when they're good and dry, I like to coat them, rehydrate them. Now, for the purpose of rehydration, personally, I like to use the hook bait enhancement system or the stick mix liquid. And what you do, I mean, obviously any of these liquids will do the same job. That's just my own personal favourites. And what I do is I take about 1 kilo of air-dried boilies, put them in a bucket with a lid, put them in the bucket, and you pour some of this or the stick mix over the top. You don't need an awful lot, just a layer, you know, good squirt over the top, put the lid on, shake the bucket right up, good and well, until they're all coated. And once they're coated, what happens there, that coating will hold back any moisture in the air, you know, any also dew, overnight moisture, so they won't actually start to act or activate until they're actually in the lake. So that will obviously give your bait a longer life. I mean, you can do it before, I've done it for 2, 3, 4 days. I've dried them, then coated them and taken them to France. And as long as you leave them out of the moisture in a sealed bucket out of the sun, they'll last, not indefinitely, but they'll last for a good couple of weeks. I've done these here. These are chops that I've already made up, and I've coated these, and then I've refroze them afterwards. Put them back in a bag and popped them in the freezer. And as you can see, they've now soaked in all the dip that was coating them, but they're a lot firmer than they were, and I expect those to last 1 to 2 weeks, kept out of the, like I say, kept out of the air. There's many liquids in the range that you can use for rehydration. The activators, particularly good. You've got all the pellet syrups, particle syrups, the enhancement systems, and also you've got the metamino and the multi-stim. These will give it a thinner coating, but they're soaked further into the bait. So there you go, that's everything you need to know about the freezer bait range, how best to use it, how best to preserve it, and how best to look after it on the bank.